I've got a screw right there, got a knot there that's not going to be great for me. After cutting off this section with the inextractable screw, I took the remainder to the jointer to, joint it. The blade guard here is spring loaded, but my spring isn't doing much. To spring the spring, I applied a bit of dry lubricant and then tested it a few times. Before going into the shop, I asked my 17-year-old daughter if she wanted me to make anything in particular. She said, cookies. When I explained that I meant if she wanted me to make her something in the shop, she still wanted cookies, but offered a suggestion of a bandsaw box with a Valentine's Day theme. So I decided to try to make a pair, one for her and one for her sister. That looks good to me. My jointed side here, I'm going to run against the fence, but look at how high off the ground or high off the bed that has to be in order for it to make contact over here. So I'm going to flip it around. Actually, no, I can't flip it around because that would make it have the wrong side against the fence. We'll go like that, making sure I have constant pressure against the fence. I finished jointing the second side and then took the piece to the planer. One of these days, I'm going to make a cart for my planer and dust extractor, so I don't have to operate it on the floor. Finally, I ripped the board on the table saw. The board was a bit thicker than I wanted to run through the table saw in a single pass, so I did multiple passes. That left a bit of a ridge, but it cleaned up pretty easily on the belt sander later. I was aiming to cut the workpiece exactly in half. And let's see how close we came. Ooh. That's pretty good, don't you think? I had only done a few bandsaw boxes before attempting these. My first couple of attempts did not go well, at all. Did you ever see that Christmas cartoon special featuring the island of misfit toys? I wonder if there's a similar home for misfit bandsaw boxes. My biggest problem was messing up the order of operations, which reminds me of my old math classes for some reason. Bandsaw boxes aren't particularly complicated, but do require that I follow a series of steps in the correct order. The first step is to shape the exterior of the box. I did this step using the bandsaw and then smoothed it out on the belt sander. The second step is to cut off the back of the box. The third step is to cut out the drawer from the main body of the box, preferably making the cut through the exterior in a relatively inconspicuous part of the box. The fourth step is to remove the front and back from the drawer. And the fifth step is to void out space in the middle of the drawer. The sixth step, glue it all back together. All right, so now, put that back over here. And here's my drawer. Extract that. And glue that back together. And I've got a drawer. And then these guys fit in there. I did a lot of sanding, but ain't nobody want to see all that. Which means it was time to start gluing everything back together, starting with the cut that went through the exterior to get to the drawer. I made that initial cut on the bottom of the box so that it would be less noticeable when it was all put back together. I'm layering it pretty thick here because I want to fill as much gap as possible. The first time I ever used a bandsaw was when I was in the 7th grade shop class. In that class, we were assigned 7 different projects in various disciplines. Our grade in the class was determined by how many of the 7 projects we satisfactorily completed. While I remember using the bandsaw in the class, I don't remember the project which necessitated the bandsaw, though I think it might have been a wooden piggy bank. I do remember the first project we worked on, a metal dustpan. Like the other students, I was assigned a locker in the shop class to store my work, for which I needed to bring my own lock. It took me forever to get a lock because, as a 12-year-old, I was reliant on others to take me to the store. And maybe, just maybe, I also deserve some of the blame. I spent a lot of time working on the handle to the dustpan. It was small enough that I could store it in my regular hall locker. I knew that the project would no longer fit in my hall locker once I added the pan to the handle. So day after day, I would come to class without a lock and work on sanding that handle. It became exceedingly smooth. Eventually, I did get the lock and completed the dustpan. Unfortunately, I had very little shop time remaining to complete the other 6 projects, and I didn't get any extra credit for how much smoother my dustpan handle was compared to all the other students. As such, that became the only class in school that I ever failed. Here's the current state. We've got drawers that work, and we've got lots of glue to clean up. We've got some spots to fill. Dab of glue in there. And open up my cyclone separator. Grab some sawdust. Jam it in the hole. Some glue. After filling the holes in the boxes with a bit of glue and sawdust, I started chiseling away at the previously dried glue. I wanted to chisel it away because I've had issues with glue removal on prior projects, including on a shoe rack that I made for my wife. I'll leave a link to that video in the description of this video. On that shoe rack, I cleaned off the glue squeeze out with a wet cloth, which smeared the glue over a wider area. I didn't even realize that would be a problem until later in the project when I started applying stain. I found that the area where I had wiped off the glue would not accept any stain. Very frustrating. Speaking of frustrating... Oh, it's not supposed to do... Why is it doing me instead of just... There we go. The joys of technology. Let me tell you a little about my daughters. They are pretty awesome. When they were younger, I would sing lullabies to them at their bedtime. They were somewhat surprised to learn as they got older that my lullaby selection was apparently a bit different from most. Instead of Rockabye Baby, I would sing Billy Joel's Piano Man, or Don McLean's American Pie, or my favorite, the fight song of my alma mater, BYU, Rise and Shout. I would, of course, keep the rising and the shouting to a minimum, since I was trying to lull them to sleep. We used to go on bike rides pretty regularly. We had a small trailer that I could pull with both of them in it. As they got older, the cart got tighter and tighter until eventually I had to get them their own bicycles to ride. I really enjoyed riding bikes together to the local park or along the greenbelt next to the river. While we haven't been on a bike ride together in a while, I still like to spend time with them, even in their teenaged state. They do still seem to like it when I read to them from the dad jokes feed on Twitter or X or whatever it's called now. Their favorite joke so far goes something like this. A man approaches the casket at his boss's funeral. He leans down and whispers, "Who's thinking outside of the box now, Gary?" Speaking of boxes, I know these aren't perfect, but they are also way better than my earliest attempts. No need for these to go to the island of misfit bandsaw boxes. I don't feel at all embarrassed to give them to my daughters. And hopefully, they're only a little embarrassed by me.